Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. Hello.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
all well. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you for joining us, Abhishek. It's
Pleasure.
nice with us. It's nice to be able to talk to you at the other end.
I
And
know.
we are going to be talking about the use of technology in stone design and
Sure,
processing with
sure.
Abhishek Bij from Design Plus Architects. I don't think he needs an introduction. Everybody knows him. Design Plus has been around since 1981. That's pretty much as old as I am.
Yeah, older than me.
And they boast of over 800 completed projects that vary in program, scale, and region. As a part of the unique presence in the architectural design fraternity, Design Plus is one of the top architectural firms in India and are proud winners of 6 national design competitions since 2012. Founded by architect Arun Bij and soon joined by his son Abhishek Bij, Design Plus is recognized to be one of the best architectural firms for education and sports infrastructure. Abhishek is a keen academic and activist who is involved in many, many things. He's taught at various architecture schools and he has a personal passion for computational design and technology. So, Abhishek, thank you so much for joining us today. We would
Thanks,
like to
Sam.
get insights into how technology can be used to explore materials such as stone.
Sure.
And we have a format wherein I'll ask you a few questions, just to give us some detailed insight, and then we'll open up Q&A for everybody else.
Sounds good.
So like I've introduced the topic, I mean, technology is playing a very important part in our lives today, and especially when it comes to exploring materiality, right?
Right,
Not many people know a lot about stone processing. So
right,
could you share a little bit about that? You know, how you've experienced stone processing and how can technology help?
right. So the obsession of stone actually kind of goes back. We kind of did I was probably at Shushan School when Design Plus did a project for one of Delhi's really big stone processors. I don't know whether I can name them or not, so I'll stay away from that. So when we did that facade, and I was visiting the site quite often, and one of their products that they were using constantly at that point, their major export product was slate. And the way the office used the facade pattern was to highlight the different stone processing methodologies that they were using in their factory and the kind of cuts that they were preparing and the application they were preparing. So basically the facade became the advert for the performance that's happening in the building. So that was my early fascination and early exposure to stone processing. And my stone processing, I don't mean I haven't reached a stage where I can comment on from my monoliths from buffing, cutting, reaching the vendors. But my conversation is once the slab is picked up from one of vendors or say A class, for example, what happens to it then? And the good thing we realize that in any detail that we're trying to develop, if you understand how you're going to process it, if you're going to use a water jet cutter or a CNC cutter or a 5-axis, it really helps to save the back and forth between अरे ये तो सर possible ही नहीं है, या पत्थर मोटा नहीं है, या thick नहीं, या density कम है, you can't do this on marble, you can't do this on quartz, you can't do this on granite, so on and so forth. So if you understand the machinery you're dealing with, it usually helps to kill that time frame and that little understanding of what you produce as a design and what can be implemented at site. So that kind of generated the interest in the sort of the sort of the conflict between the tools and the kind of processing you do, kind of machinery you choose. So that dialogue was of quite of interest. And then there are and then I remember a certain project where very interestingly the client wanted the model in stone So we went up till Mundka to find like these 5-axis CNCs who can undercut, so it's quite a fascination that way. So yeah,
Okay.
that's my interest.
So you work a lot on education projects and sports infrastructure projects, and these are
Right.
projects, are typically dealing with a lot of heavy traffic. So stone obviously becomes a natural choice, in
Right.
a lot of projects. What are the properties that you look for when you're picking stone for such projects?
To be honest, there are just two. One, of course, is it has to be a sturdy material. It should not crack. It should not scratch. So by default, granite becomes an option, right, over marble. And the second thing is because it's most of the projects. So education is a slightly different story, but sports is largely a public sector project, right? Mm-hmm. And unfortunately or fortunately, every public sector project gets also decided on price. So by default, like we would prefer like a flamed granite or like a sandblasted Kota. So the decision to do this, of course, the surface should remain a little rough and with more crystalline, more monolith products or more monolithic stones than against a porous stone. So those are the two essentially prime reasons for us to usually pick up either a limestone or a granite over sandstone or a quartz or so yeah, it's a very obvious decision that one has to take, and usually economy plays a larger role than even the density.
Yeah, I guess because of the scale at which you're operating, right? And the
because of the
quantity
scale,
of stone.
exactly. Because of Exactly. And also the thing is that, I mean, scale A, the quantum is high, and also variation you cannot afford. Because, you're supposed to put 10 lakh square feet of the same stone, and the kind of variation that you're getting, because, it's a natural material, the kind of material, the veins or the grains that you're now getting doesn't even match. And we've had a situation where we went around the entire stadium, came concourse, and where they started was a completely different material, and that happened with even with Kota, with just the color of the green. But imagine that variation happening in a granite. So it's so those are two reasons.
I also noticed then that you have not mentioned any import stones. Is there a particular, is there obviously because of cost and quality and the nature of the material that you're looking at, for such projects, I would assume that Indian stones, natural hard stones would work.
Like I said, it's primarily
better. Is that?
Yes, it's like I said, it's primarily cost driven, unfortunately. Petitions never end. So in the same couple of projects, when we do the pavilion or for example the VIP rooms, Concord, they do get the flavors of at least Dianas and Botticellinos of the world, if not higher, if not like a Chris Wario. So again, the intent matters, but at least for the large public areas, you go with the most hardened stone, easy to lay, easy to cut. So I would not do for example, a Kara Mandana just because just treat the surface or cutting it would be a difficult decision than over a Kota or on a granite. But yeah, any stone from Turkey or Italy or wherever our AEC industry procures it from, it's an obvious one, but of course for special areas.
Right. Okay.
So
moving from these large, heavy traffic spaces, facades, flooring, staircases, etc., etc. Versatile material, and the results are very
Can you hear me now? Hear you either. Shall I